Enemy Mine, the heartfelt story of finding friendship and understanding with your enemy during the tragedies of war. Released in 1985 and set in the future, the human race is at war with an alien race known as the Dracs, mysterious reptile beings who produce asexually, where a human fighter pilot, Will Davidge, played by Dennis Quaid, and a Drac pilot called Jeroba, played by Louis Gossett Jr., crash land on a strange remote alien world after battling each other in a dogfight, where they are alone with nothing else but each other, where the two must learn to put aside their differences and work together in order to survive, where they learn more about each other and their ancestries. Jeroba births a child, and Will promises that no matter what, he will look after the child, and fights to get the child to his home planet, in this heartfelt story that proves that sworn enemies can still find common ground and become friends, where even in an alien world, a very humane story can be told. So it's time to put aside our differences and look into 10 things that you didn't know about Enemy Mine, a movie that explores the lines of enemies and friendship. So let's check it out.
This is my head.
That is your ugly head.
No. This is my head. That is your head. You ugly head.
Number 10, based on a short story. Before breathing life onto the big screen, Enemy Mine first appeared on the pages of a science fiction magazine in 1979. The story was written by American author Barry B. Longyear, and has the same basic plot of the movie, focusing on a human fighter pilot stranded on an alien world with a reptilian alien called Jeroba, where they must put aside their differences and work together in order to survive. The short story received great reviews by critics, and won several awards, including a Hugo Award in 1980. And thus 20th Century Fox obviously saw great potential of adapting Enemy Mine onto the big screen, and bought the rights to the story, and thus production started on this thought-provoking science fiction drama. However, the production got off to an icy start, to say the least. Number 9, From SEAWORLD to Enemies. Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. were cast as the movie's two main leads of Will Davidge and Jeroba Shighan. Both actors were popular at the time, as Quaid had previously starred in the science fiction dream exploration movie Dreamscape, and Gossett Jr., whom had been acting ever since the 60s, had just previously starred in An Officer and a Gentleman, which he won several awards for. The irony of this casting is that just 2 years earlier, both Quaid and Gossett Jr. had previously starred in the Jaws sequel, Jaws 3D, where they acted side by side as SeaWorld employees, whom had to take on a great white shark in all its crappy 3D effects awfulness. Despite the fact that Jaws 3D was a critical and financial disappointment, it thankfully didn't leave a dent in the careers of Quaid and Gossett Jr. The studio obviously felt confident in casting both actors without audiences or critics immediately making the Jaws 3D connection. Number 8, Failed Start. Enemy Mine was given a budget of $18 million, and shooting the movie took place in Iceland and Budapest in 1984, and British film and television director Richard Loncraine came on board to direct Enemy Mine. However, production executives weren't happy with the dailies that were being brought in. They felt the movie looked cheap, along with Louis Gossett Jr.'s original alien makeup effects, which they felt more resembled a 1950s B-movie monster. They also felt that the movie was going way over budget, so after 3 weeks of filming, the production of Enemy Mine was shut down entirely. The choice was put forth to either abandon Enemy Mine altogether, or to start again from scratch. Number 7, Enemy Mine Reborn. 20th Century Fox's new chairman Barry Diller and head of production Lawrence Gordon decided to greenlight Enemy Mine again, mainly because they felt the story could work great on film if told right, and also because of its two main big stars, Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. already being attached to the project. However, it was decided that a new director would be needed. Terry Gilliam was supposedly offered to direct but turned it down as he was directing Brazil at the time, as well as David Lynch. German director Wolfgang Petersen was approached to direct while he was filming The Neverending Story, and he initially turned the offer down, thinking that the movie would just be a Star Wars clone. But after reading the script, he changed his mind and felt that there was something more special about Enemy Mine than your average space battle movie. However, he was still hesitant to sign on, due to his commitments on Neverending Story. So the studio agreed to wait for him to finish work on that movie and then reopen the movie's production when he was ready. However, Wolfgang Petersen wasn't happy with the footage already shot by the previous director, Richard Loncraine. So some changes had to be made. Number 6. Creative changes. Petersen wanted to start from scratch. He didn't want to just come in and finish someone else's job. That, and he also wasn't impressed with what was already filmed as mentioned. So all the footage that was already filmed was to be reshot, along with giving the Jerry character better alien makeup effects, which was described as looking like a rubbery lizard. Petersen also felt that the Iceland locations didn't really look like an alien world, so filming shifted to Bavaria Film Studios in Munich, where Petersen had just previously directed The Neverending Story, with large sets being constructed in order to create the alien world, along with additional footage being filmed on one of the Canary Islands off the coast of Morocco. While delays and constructing the sets were taking place, Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. were still paid in full. And due to all the footage that had to be scrapped and refilmed and changes in direction, the movie's budget went from $17 million to $29 million. But with marketing and other expenses, the total budget's cost was more $40 million. And incidentally, the shoot was completed within 7 months. Incidentally, the original scrapped version of the movie had a much longer ending, where we actually see Davidge travel to Jereba's home planet in order for Zamis to live there, as well as meeting Jereba's parents and visiting the Holy Council. Number 5. Creating Jerry. Louis Gossett Jr. brings the strange alien being Jerry to life for Enemy Mine, and gives the character plenty of heart and soul, so audiences can have empathy for the character despite his unrecognizable alien makeup. As mentioned, the original design of Jereba was unconvincing and looked cheap. And in order for Enemy Mine to work, we had to believe in this character and not be distracted with the fake rubber alien suit. So new makeup designs were created, which I think served the movie, and are very convincing. This does look like a being not of our world. The new makeup that Gossett Jr. had to work with would actually take a staggering 4 hours to apply. Well, that would take a lot of patience. The Drac language that was created was mainly Russian, only spoken in reverse, in order to create something truly obscure. Gossett Jr. even added some of his own quirks to the character, like talking while gargling saliva. Gossett Jr. said that this was something he had been able to do ever since he was a kid, and he asked director Wolfgang Petersen if he would like him to incorporate this into the character in order to make him sound even more alien, and Petersen agreed with this trick. So when it comes to that gargling voice, no sound effects were required. That was all Louis Gossett Jr. himself. Yep, we're now talking about gargling spit. Apologies to anyone watching this while they are eating. Number 4. The Doctor makes a cameo in the trailer. Yes, believe it or not, but Enemy Mine crosses paths with the Doctor himself. Somewhat. Now, before you go thinking that there's a cut of the movie where the Time Lord from Gallifrey turns up to help save the day while offering everyone a jelly baby, I'm sorry to disappoint you, that doesn't happen. However, Enemy Mine's VHS trailer oddly features a narration from 4th Doctor actor Tom Baker, as he uses his distinct, powerful voice to describe the events of Enemy Mine in order to entice UK viewers to renting it out.
Enemy Mine. The future of a galaxy rests on a promise.
He sounds so intense and dramatic, I love it. Like he's taking the whole ordeal very seriously. Personally, I like to think that this isn't Baker promoting the movie, but rather the 4th Doctor himself is trying to get us to watch Enemy Mine. And let's face it, if the 4th Doctor can't inspire you to watch a movie, then no one can.
On one side is mankind, on the other are the Dracs.
I'm actually disappointed that the trailer doesn't end with Tom Baker saying, "Would you like a jelly baby?" Number 3. Sets reused. The sets in EnemyMine are very impressive. They generally look like a harsh alien world, full of intrigue and wonder, as well as the more technical space-age sets, which have aged quite well in my opinion, and are a great contrast to the more natural-looking alien world. In fact, some of the sets are still in the studio, available for tourists to visit who are on tour guides. The sets were so impressive they would go on to be reused in a music video, that being the music video for a song called TV Makes the Superstar, by a pop group called Modern Talking, whom are a German pop duo. The music video even uses spaceship clips from the movie, so EnemyMine was definitely an inspiration to making this music video. The song and music video were released in 2003, where the old sets were incorporated to give the video a space-age feel. And I don't know, it just makes me happy that over 30 years later, the sets built for EnemyMine can still be put to good use, and still be shown in modern media, like music videos. And this isn't a rare thing for movie sets to get reused in music videos either, as the Chinatown set used for Big Trouble in Little China would go on to be used for a Janet Jackson music video, and the mansion set in Casper would go on to be reused in Backstreet Boys' music video Backstreet's Back. Number 2, the UK had an issue with the violence. In the US, EnemyMine was given a PG-13 rating, which was relatively new back then, which meant the movie could pack more of a punch with its themes and use of violence, while also being available to a wider market, meaning more young people could go and see it. And this was back in a day when PG-13 was less safe and could be edgier. Even in Australia, the movie was given a PG rating, meaning it would be available to all ages. However, it wasn't the same in the UK, as the British Classification Board gave EnemyMine a 15 rating, meaning it was not suitable for audiences under 15. The main objections the UK Classification Board had with EnemyMine was the gore seen in the movie as well as its depictions of war violence, and thus this rating no doubt would have limited the amount of viewers in the UK. In fact, when released on VHS in the UK, several scenes had to be cut out. But seriously though, if the 4th Doctor loves this movie and is A-okay with its rougher parts, then it should be okay for everyone else too. Number 1, EnemyMine at the box office. EnemyMine was released in December 1985 and only made back $12 million at the box office on its $29 to $40 million budget, making it a financial disappointment. Some of the blame of the movie's poor box office performance was put on the marketing. 20th Century Fox supposedly didn't really know how to market the movie on the account of the movie's subject matter of two species who start off as enemies and then become friends. The movie's poster was also criticised for misrepresenting the movie, showing the two main characters staring at each other with anger and contempt, like they are about to have a face-off battle. It was felt that this poster did a disservice to the warmth and anti-war messages in the movie. There was this alternative poster, but Dennis Quaid's face looks kind of weird. He looks constipated. EnemyMine got fairly average reviews from critics. Its warmth, effects, and performances were praised, but I think that to some critics, it was just lacking that certain something. I think the movie was ahead of its time in that it focuses more on the characters and their connection, whereas the science fiction spectacle of the ordeal takes a back seat, which was rare in a post-Star Wars era. It's a human story exploring that we can do so much more and have it in us to really achieve. It's the story of sworn enemies putting aside their differences while learning to live and work together. And in that regards, the movie has aged very well, as EnemyMine is probably a movie that we could all learn from in our current world. It's about acceptance and understanding, and putting our prejudices aside. Maybe in 1985 we were like, huh? What's with all this emotional, thinky stuff? I just want to see space battles. Which is why, once again, EnemyMine has aged very well in time, and is probably more relevant now than ever before. So definitely check it out, the movie has a good heart. Anyway, I'm Minty, and remember, if you ever make a movie, try to get Tom Baker to narrate the trailer. See ya!